Hello, welcome back. Today I am ranking the Marvel Cinematic Universe Infinity Saga movies from worst to greatest. Let's be honest, this one was pretty obvious. The Incredible Hulk is not the best Marvel movie. It's the worst because, not even Mark Ruffalo, not good action, not a good storyline. I like it, but it's terrible compared to the rest of them. Don't get me wrong, I love the Iron Man movies. Iron Man 2 was only put at number 22 because it just doesn't have that Marvel feel. It just feels like a superhero story, not a Marvel superhero story. I know it introduced Black Widow, but still not as good as I would have hoped. I like it. I love it actually, but still not as good as I would hope. I know what you're thinking. How can I put Thor below Thor the Dark World? Well, it's because Phase 1 of the MCU just doesn't have that much of humor, which is something I like. And Thor, this version of him, he's funny, but not much. It's a great movie, but I don't know. I almost put it above the Dark World, but I didn't. Number 20, Thor the Dark World. I actually think this is a better story than the original Thor, but it's still not one of my highest ranked because, well, just watch it and watch any YouTube video about it. You'll pretty much everybody hates it. I like it. It's a really great movie, but it introduced the Reality Stone. That's one good thing, which is why it's higher than Thor, which didn't introduce any Infinity Stone. Actually, Iron Man 3, again, another great movie. I love it. The Iron Man is literally my favorite superhero ever. It's a great movie. It's funny, but it's so low on the list because there are so many Marvel movies, and I kind of had to be harsh on a few of them, like this one. Number 18, Spider-Man: Homecoming. Okay, I love the Spider-Man movies. Iron Man, again, my favorite superhero. He's in them. He makes them funny. Spider-Man makes them funny. They're basically the same person. It's a mentor student movie, but it's so low because there are a lot of better Marvel movies than this one. I'm just gonna admit it. Number 17, Doctor Strange. Kind of underrated, even on this list. It's a good movie. It's got like the time travel aspect, which is like super sci-fi. I love sci-fi. But it's low because again, there's a lot of movies that are better than this, but it's still really good. Number 16, Captain America the Winter Soldier. It's a really great movie. It introduced Hydra. It reintroduced Hydra by saying that they were actually in Shield this whole time, which is really interesting. But I feel like it's missing something. I don't know what, but it's a great movie, but it's not. It's missing something. That's why it's so low on this list. Let's be honest. Avengers: Age of Ultron is not the best Avengers movie by far. Yes, it does introduce Scarlet Witch, Vision, and Quicksilver, but Quicksilver, spoiler alert, dies at the end. Um, so it just doesn't really. It's not up to the Avengers level standard. Number 14, Spider-Man: Far From Home. Okay, this is actually a good movie. Like, it's great, and I loved it. I really enjoyed it. I really enjoyed the fact that Peter Parker didn't know what to do once Tony was dead after Endgame. But it's really good. It just doesn't really have like all of that Marvel flair. Like the Spider-Man are distributed by Sony, which is one thing that I'm lowering it for, I guess. Number 13, Black Panther. Actually, this is a good movie. It almost made middle. Almost made the very middle. It has a great storyline, a great villain, and it like it shows what happened after Civil War with Black Panther, like Spider-Man: Homecoming did, and it's really good. It has all of this stuff referencing previous movies, which is really cool. I like it. Right here in the very middle of the list is Captain Marvel. I didn't want to rate it too low or too high because, I mean, people complain about the acting, but let's be honest, it's not as bad as people are saying. It's a really good movie. It has a great storyline, but it's like right in the middle, and it's like it could tip over bad or good depending on the person's perspective that's watching it, which is why it's on my middle list, like right at number 12. Number 11, Thor Ragnarok. Probably getting to people's favorites now. This is a hilarious movie. By far the best Thor movie that Marvel has ever made. Oh, Marvel Studios. It is Thor is like hilarious. It's got the Hulk in it and everything about it, referencing the previous movies and the future movies too. Actually, like Infinity War. It's just funny. I love Korg and Meek and everything about this movie. Number 10, Captain America: The First Avenger. The First Avenger is a movie about Captain America's origins, which is like really cool because we've actually it's the only time we've ever get to see Captain America's life before the Avengers, and it's like really great. And just watch this movie, you'll understand why it's so good. Number 9, Ant Man. Okay, Ant Man is super important to the MCU and Endgame, but that's not important for this one. This is the first Ant Man. It's hilarious. Everything about it is funny. It's a good storyline, and like I like how it's like Scott Lang was chosen because he's expendable, and yet he like saves half the universe a couple years later. Number 8, Iron Man. Okay, I said earlier that Iron Man is my favorite superhero ever, and well, this movie is awesome. It introduces Iron Man's whole character. It really does. Like, if you see any movie with Tony Stark in it, watch this one first, and you'll understand why he acts the way he does. He's funny. He can be funny. He can be serious. Robert Downey Jr. does a great job at playing him. Just watch this movie, and you'll understand why. It also introduces the entire MCU, which is really cool. Starting a new universe with this movie. Number 7, Marvel's The Avengers, the original Avengers movie. Okay, now this one, the Battle of New York, bringing all the heroes together finally. It's like the wait. It's like the wait was finally. It's like the wait is finally over once you get to this movie. You have all of these like heroes that have never met each other before, except some of them teaming up, and like none of them really trust each other. But they all, at the end of the day, save New York, or rather, the world, actually, from an alien invasion, which is really impressive for a bunch of heroes who have never met each other. Number 6, Ant-Man and the Wasp. Okay, well, this is funny. It actually leads right up into Endgame on how Ant-Man gets there, and it takes place during Infinity War, which is actually pretty cool if you watch the mid-credit scene. Um, it just yeah, this movie is amazing. Number 5, Captain America: Civil War. Okay, I love this movie. I love how like the Avengers turn on each other, and yet they're still like friends, kind of. There's even that line between Black Widow and Hawkeye if they're still going to be friends, and that was amazing during the airport scene. It introduces Spider-Man, who I think is going to be the next Tony Stark, not Iron Man, Tony Stark. And by the next Tony Stark, I mean taking up the next Tony Stark like role, as in form of leadership of the team. Well, Captain Marvel will probably do that for Captain America, or Falcon will do that for Captain America, or they both will. Number 4, Guardians of the Galaxy. Okay, this one is a hilarious space sci-fi. It kind of reminds me of Star Wars, just funnier, and it feels like kind of making fun of Star Wars, but it's amazing. Just this is amazing. It's got a talking tree and a talking raccoon in it, so I am Groot. Number three, Avengers Infinity War. Okay, well, the reason this is number three and not number two is, or number one, is because, I mean, I love this movie. This is like one of the best Avengers movie, but it, I feel like, I'm just a fan of humor, and the next two movies have a lot of it. Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2 is number two. And this is because, like, the Guardians are hilarious, as I said with the first Guardians, and now Baby Groot makes it even better, and the soundtrack is great. It's just awesome. I love this movie. Finally, number one, Avengers Endgame. Pretty obvious. I mean, it's a lot of people's favorite movies ever. This is my favorite Marvel movie. It just it's just like 3 hour long movie of it's 3 hours of pure awesomeness. It's one of the greatest movies ever. One of, not the, but one of. It's the great. It's also highest grossing film ever. Which overall, Marvel Studios has a lot. Most all of these properties are of Marvel Studios. All of these movies, amazing, just amazing storyline. Well, most of them are amazing storylines. Some less than others, if you know what I mean by that. The intro for this video was played by me. I played it myself on an instrument called the viola, like a cross between a violin and a cello. It is not a violin, just so you know. I know you're thinking that. It is not a violin, it is a viola. Play on the alto clef. Okay, to be fair to the original Thor movie, yes, I know that in the end credit scene it actually did introduce the Space Stone in the Tesseract for the end credit scene, but Thor: The Dark World, Thor: The Dark World's end credit scene featured the Collector, and the first time in the MCU anyone has ever said the words Infinity Stones. So that was awesome.